Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Fix Your BS Belief Systems, where we talk about 5 major pillars of life: relationships, business, health, faith, and finances. If you're playing at a high level in all 5 of those areas, then your life is pretty sweet. You are happy, you are content, you are fulfilled, and you are living a high quality life, which is what this program is all about. Help you get the life that you deserve, be able to achieve it. I bring guests on, as you know, that are achieving in high levels and can give us tips, tricks, strategies, and things that you can put into action in all 5 of those pillars or individual pillars. And today I have somebody I met not that long ago, actually, but he impressed me so much with his podcast that I said, would you be on my podcast? His name's Saul Marquez. He is the founder and CEO of Outcomes Rocket, which is a digital marketing agency that is focused on healthcare. As you all know, I own a regenerative integrated medical clinic and also have the online digital Fix Your Belief Systems. And that's how we met, and that's why he's here. So Saul, thanks for being here, man.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be with you, Dr. G, and a pleasure to spend a little time with your listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that you can give them some, and I know you will, be able to give them some nuggets of information and wisdom and that they can put into action. And I say it all the time. Nothing changes until you change. You have to change and put things into action in order to reach the goals that you're trying to reach. So Saul, tell us a little bit about your history and how you got into the digital marketing agency that's focused on healthcare.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Dr. G. Yep. So, I run a digital marketing agency that is really focused on healthcare business leaders. We help them get in front of their ideal clients, so they get rid of the guessing game. And, my journey, the guessing game is really trying different things that probably don't work most of the time until eventually a few years later, you figure out what actually works. We help you get rid of all those years of trial and error and execute flawlessly within the first 6 months. I got into this. I started my career in med device, where I worked for multiple different medical device manufacturers, spinal implants, patient monitoring. I carried the bag for a while. Then I became a manager, and everybody that's a manager knows that the skills you have as a successful sales rep are different than those that are of a successful manager. So I had to figure out that quickly. And then sort of went up the ranks and became an executive at one of the companies that I was at, Medtronic. And so then I sort of, through the work that I was doing there, realized I had this knack and this love and this calling to do more. And I went from helping one company exceed to now helping many of our customers succeed in their healthcare businesses through the things that I learned through trial and error of my 17 years in healthcare sales. And now here we are with Outcomes Rocket, which it started with a podcast. I started interviewing people. And you talk a lot about this, Dr. G. It's, success mindset. You could be guilty through association, but you could also be successful through association. And that's one of the things that the podcast really did for me is it escalated, it accelerated my success through associating with high achieving individuals.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. We talk about that. In fact, it's funny, the high level achievers that I have on this podcast all basically say very similar things that are under, in the vicinity of each other. And one of the things we hear all the time is your network is your net worth, or your success is dependent on the people that are around you or the people that are in your network. So as you've ascended, if you will, how has your association or your friendships or people that are around you, how has that changed over time? Have you had to give any of them up or stop spending time with them as much, or what's changed in that? Because I think that's something that people deal with and are afraid of a lot, is giving something up to get something.
I several times in my career, Dr. G, and what a great question. I have had to make the choice to stop hanging out with certain people. Whether it was in college when I was, got into college and, having a little too much fun, I had to change my friends that were, big drinkers to let's mix it up and let's get in with the crowd that actually cares about their studies and, wants to do something about it. To several periods of my career, and even more recently when I pivoted from being an executive at a corporation to being an entrepreneur leader, you sort of just have to redo who you surround yourself with and those top 5, right? And I call them, whether they know it or not, my board of directors. Some of them do, but others, I just stay in touch with them because I know that through my association with them, we'll learn from each other and we'll bring each other up. And so several times, I sort of like a lizard sheds its skin. I've had to do this several times through my career from college, 18 years forward now.
Yeah. Tell me about the idea of, why you call it your board of directors and what that really, how do you define that for you? Or if somebody else was to ask you about it, how would, they have to go about defining it?
Yeah. So I go back to, you say your network is your net worth. And one of the ones that I like is from Jim Rohn, who says you're the average of your 5 closest peers. And this is true in your wealth, true in your health, true in your relationships. And so, I always ask myself, how do I want to do in these particular areas? And, a discipline that I sort of just came up on more recently, I would tell you a year ago. I never used to do this. I'm a big goal setter. So I believe that setting goals is critical to success. And I tell my son, he's 6 years old, I tell you, one of the quotes we have in our house is, if you don't have a plan, you become part of somebody else's plan. And your plan begins with writing your goals down. And by the way, I love asking my son this stuff and actually getting that from him. It makes me very proud. These things are so true. So if you do not have a plan, you will become part of someone else's. And writing your goals down is the beginning of that. And when I like a year ago, I think you and I have both been exposed to like the 10X group and the work that those guys do. Cardone talks about write your goals daily. And I thought, man, this is excessive. That's ridiculous. But I've been doing that. And it actually has been making a huge difference for me because I see my goals every single day. And so with that, I also write down the gaps that I have in order to achieve those goals. And I'll share with you right now, like I need to have more project management expertise on my team. I have so many talented people on my team, but project management is something that we're lacking right now. So we're hyper-focused on it. And guess who I'm reaching out to and looking to learn more from and looking to bring into my circle of 5 is people with that have hired many chiefs of staff, people that have experience and are like kung fu experts at project management. And so anyway, that's sort of how it all comes together. It starts with the goals. It starts with where you want to go, have clarity in your vision. Without vision, people perish. And then put all the goals together to help you get there. And it's not only what you know, it's who. And the who is going to help you get there.
Yeah. And with that who, there's a lot of giving involved into that before asking. That's something that so many people have come to me as I've ascended through the ranks, if you will, or on my trajectory of growth where I've become more and more popular and been asked to do more and more things, is people come and ask for a lot of things, people that I don't really know, people that I might have seen or had a very short, meet up with, or that they'll ask, hey, can you do me a favor? And a buddy of mine, Dave Meltzer, is a great guy, but he talks about that. Asking favors is something that should be saved for when you have a relationship with somebody. In the interim, you should give. And Alex Hormozy talks about that a lot. Give, and then, and that's the way it really should be. You give, and then you receive. And so just everybody should keep that in mind when they are interacting with other people. You want to build the relationship first before you ask for anything. And what's funny is if you give enough, people feel, it's the law of reciprocity. They feel that they should give to you, and they'll ask or they'll give you out of just the belief that they feel like they should. So really, really great point there for sure.
Yeah, no, and it's for sure an important part, Dr. G, is you can't just ask, right? You gotta, and the nice thing is that like you're building a career, and a career takes time.
Mm-hmm.
So a business takes time, and so you're adding value to people through that time. Just focus on that, and eventually, when you need something, people are willing to help you. So I think that's a really great point.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us something that, as you've created your own business, you worked, in other companies, big companies, and you created your own business. I mean, what are some hurdles that were unexpected that you went, oh man, I didn't realize I was going to have to jump over this hurdle or that hurdle. What things have you dealt with as far as that goes?
Oh man, the hurdles, like they're all over the place, right? There's always a hurdle. Like before this project thing, it was, we're really good at doing what we do, but how do we scale? And so the hurdle of having the right amount of process documentation in place, standard operating procedures that help us bring on new people and quickly train them up. Before that, it was the finances. So, having the right type of accounting support and having the right processes for accounts receivable, just like all those things, like you're always going to run into new problems. And so the question is, how do you handle them? And are you bigger than your problems? Whenever a new problem comes up, I get excited. I get frustrated. I won't lie to you. I get frustrated, but I also get excited because I'm like, wow, okay, cool. If I get over this brick wall, whether it's tearing through it, going under it, once I get through it, I'm going to master that. Like I already know how to do that trick on the bike. And now I could go on to the next step, right? And it's this succession of building on all the problems that you get that help you become, successful and help you add value to people in a much bigger way.
I think so many people get caught up on that too, is they don't look at things as an opportunity to learn something. They're looking at it as a problem. And what I always say is, well, instead of looking at it as a problem, how about you look at it and say, what can I learn from this? And write it down as an actual question. So you can form a potential solution out of that question. I mean, is that kind of the same process that you go through?
It is. Yeah. And so, I'm about to hire a project manager because we do a really great job of all that stuff, but now I need a certified expert at this thing. And so then what we do is, I think it was the second thing that I shared with you is now that we learned the importance of process documentation and putting together our standard operating procedures, we do that for any new challenge. Once we are faced with a challenge, then we write out, how do we solve this challenge? And it's back to the rule of three. You've heard of the rule of three. You learn how to do something really well, you master it, and then you teach 3 other people how to do it extremely well. You remove yourself from that, and then you go on to the next problem and the next opportunity to grow your business. And then you get to that place again, right? And then you train the next 3 people, and before you know it, you got a nice organization with strong revenues on to the next problem, because there's always going to be a new problem.
So many people have problems understanding that rule of 3, though. And it goes back to really one of the things that I've learned from a couple mentors, John Maxwell and Dan Martell. So John Maxwell is the leadership guy who created leadership training, and Dan Martell wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. But what they really look at is doing an audit of the things you're good at that provide value to the company, that provide income to the company, that really light you up and make you excited. So if you can make a list of those things and just John Maxwell put it as, what are the things that you can do that provide value to the company that only you can do? So you write those things in a bubble, and everything you're doing outside of that you can categorize those together and go, oh, well, these are all under financing, and these are all under marketing, and these are all under whatever, sales, blah, blah. And then you can then hire people to take on those tasks and give them KPIs and that sort of thing. The problem is that most people, when they do that, they don't actually document, which is what you just mentioned. They don't document the things that were done, the successful actions that were done in order to get the right result that you're after. And so they hire someone, and that person has to go through the trial and error, figuring out how this thing's supposed to be done. And you're frustrated that they're not getting the result that you got in that thing. And it just becomes this problem. So the rule of 3, like you said, is something you can follow as a guideline. Obviously, Brandon Dawson, great friend of mine and brilliant business guy.
That's what I got
all the time. Yeah, absolutely. And he talks about that because that was the first thing he said to me. He goes, you're wasting too much time not teaching people what you're doing. So that way, when you are able to get to the next level, you've already got people there in your infrastructure that are able to do the things that you were already doing and have created the documented procedures of how to do them. So is that something you've ever had problems with, or is it something you're like, well, this came naturally to me?
Oh, no. Terrible. I would shriek at the idea of having to write everything down in a detailed manner. And you know what? There's AI for it now. We don't completely lean on it. Though we actually do use this one. I'll get you the link for the show notes. I'm not thinking about it right now. But it's great. So have you ever used Loom?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I love Loom. We use Loom for a lot of things. Well, think of Loom with a built-in AI that creates step-by-step with instructions for this is literally like Loom for SOPs. I think it's called Guide, but I'll share the link when we're done. And it's we have a process for our standard operating procedures that we follow, but in certain cases we incorporate Guide as a way to make it easier and make it faster. But yeah, I hated it, and until I realized that not doing them was costing me my business. That's when I said, this is non-negotiable. And when something becomes a non-negotiable, that's when you either do it or you sort of acknowledge that you're ignoring something that's really important. So then why the heck are you doing it to begin with?
Yeah. But yeah, that's right, baby. Fix your BS, man. That's exactly right. Get over yourself. Freaking figure it out. That's so true, man. And I love the fact that you're looking for innovative ways to do things instead of saying, well, this has to be done this specific way. You're like, how can we make this easier, more productive, and even better in the long run in a quicker fashion? And so I love the way that you looked at that. Man, any final thoughts or things that you've overcome or you've learned, steps, strategies, tips in order to, create your business or create success that you've created in your life that people could emulate, or that they could say, well, I can put that into my life right now in order to start to create success?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity to close here, Dr. G, and everybody listening. There's a huge opportunity for you out there. Number one, surround yourself with the right people. You're doing that with Dr. G and now me on this podcast. So kudos for doing that. These podcasts are actually mentors. You could seriously think of Dr. G as your mentor. You could tune in. He's one of your top 5, and he may not even know it. And you should reach out to him because he would appreciate that. I know I appreciate whenever people reach out to me on my podcast. Whenever you find yourself at your wit's end, you might be there right now, or maybe you were there last week, or maybe a year ago. And maybe it's going to happen a week from now. But the truth is, when you're at your wit's end, just know that it's not you. It's likely a process that's broken inside of how you're currently doing things. When I tell you it's not you, I'm not saying you're not responsible, because you are responsible. What I'm saying is that it's not a character flaw. So stop being so freaking hard on yourself. And just take a step back and breathe and think, okay, maybe Saul's got a point here. Maybe there is something broken in my process, how I do things, how my teams do things. And there's not something broken within me. And that is the first step that I'll share with you, that I say to myself when something needs help within my business, within my marriage, within my relationship with my son or my brother or my parents, whatever, right? It is not you. There's a process that needs to be checked, and do that. And so if you do that, I promise you, you'll identify one or two things, and then you could start working on those one or two things immediately to make a difference. And if you get after those one or two things and you focus on those things, I guarantee you're going to start seeing results within 2 weeks. But stay focused. No, it's not you. It's a process. And keep listening to Dr. G and be surrounded by those people that can help you be successful.
Well, Saul, that's an amazing final statement, and it's so true. Get people around you, be grateful for the things that you have, and just know that things are a process. And that's where that faith and belief really come in, because that's what it's all about. Not religion. I'm talking faith and belief, which is trusting the process. So I really appreciate your insights, man. Everybody needs to look him up, and you can look at his podcast for sure. I was on an episode not so long ago, and but just listen to people and figure out what makes sense to you. And if you have people that you listen to and you're like, oh, this makes sense to me, then go deep with that person. Dive into their material. Dive into the interviews they've done. And I hope you do that for Saul. So appreciate everybody. Yeah. Go ahead.
And Dr. G, by the way, on that point, I love that point. What I would say, and this is a quick one, follow them, do more with them. And what I would tell you is invest in yourself, because if you stop at the free stuff, you're not going to get as far as if you do with the paid stuff. And I promise you that because once you pay somebody to help you, they see that you're invested and they'll do more for you. So I just wanted to say that don't stop at the free, invest in yourself.
Yeah. You pay attention when you pay. That's for sure. So that's for sure. All right, Saul, thanks for having me on here, man.
My pleasure.
Go check them out. Yep, check out the podcast, Outcomes Rockets Growth, and that's such great points here. It's just ridiculous how our guests always give like so many great insights. I just love it. Until next time, man. This has been another episode of Fix Your Belief Systems, or Fix Your BS, where we talk about relationships, business or career, health, faith, and finances. And I hope you got something out of this. Make sure you take some of this information, put it into action. Go follow Saul. Check out his podcast. Look at the show notes. You can see the things that the links. Click on those. And we look forward to continuing to provide value to all the people listening to this, to build a life on your terms, which is what Fix Your Belief Systems is all about. Thanks again. Talk to you next time, everybody. And stay tuned for great live events that we have coming up, as well as other group events and challenges that we do in the Fix Your BS world.